today ends pretty much the single solitary biggest art selling week of the entire year, which is Black Friday to Cyber Monday swing and really the days before it. But the good news is the next biggest, which is essentially today and what's left of it, Cyber Monday, obviously, and then running all the way through until, we get close to Christmas. It's essentially the second biggest art selling time of the year. And it was really interesting to see this year. Some of the data started to pour in, at least from Black Friday. And I'll tell you why I'm bringing all this up in a second. But the Black Friday data was really interesting in the sense that it wasn't as strong as last year. So I think last year the numbers that came out shortly after Black Friday was $9 billion in total, and this year they said it was $8.7 billion. But what's interesting about that is you read those stats and you're like, okay, is the economy slowing down? Are we in a COVID hangover? What's going on? And it's more about a shift in behavior, which is really, really interesting. And the shift in behavior is we used to, when we were all kids, or when I was a kid at least, and I don't know how old you are, but it used to be everything would wait until Black Friday, right? And, we would all enjoy Thanksgiving with our families if we're Americans, and then the next day would be the shopping blitz, and then all of a sudden, a few years later, Cyber Monday was a holiday invented out of whole cloth. Well, now the shift is nobody is respecting those rules anymore, and now everyone is just running sales earlier and earlier and earlier. And it's sort of diluting the individual power of one retail day. There's a lot fewer stories this year about, people trampling all over each other to go in and get the deals because they'd already gotten the deals, right? So it's an interesting shift in how consumer behavior is taking place, at least in the United States. And I bring it all up to say, the last 3 months of the year are the the three most important months of the entire year for you guys aspiring creatives attempting to sell your things. It's not even close. More art is sold, more photography is sold, more wall arts, more creations, more merch in the last 3 months of the year than for some people than the other months combined. So I bring all that up to say it's an important thing to have on your mind as an artist, how important a time it is. I also want to try to create some urgency in you guys. If you've been through Q4 after Q4 after Q4, October, November, December, you've been through them all, and you've never attempted to get a sale in the water on whatever inventory you have in hand or whatever you're capable of selling, you're missing the most important time of the year. There's all kinds of other years where you can, all other kinds of times of the year where you can be busy and you can have things going on and you have a valid excuse not to be running a sale. Right now, I'm telling you, you don't have that excuse. It does not exist. If you have your creations, you have something to sell, you have something to show, you have people to email about it, you need to do something between now and Christmas. The biggest is already gone. Black Friday to Cyber Monday swing, too late for most of you guys likely. But from now till Christmas is still a massive, massive rush. And what we normally see, just to punctuate the numbers, and then we'll get into Q&A, is, assume the first 9 months of the year, the data is pretty consistent. Some months are a little bit better than others, but on average, they're all about the same. Okay, so they all have the variable of 1. What happens in October is sales go from 1 to 2, they double. What happens in November is sales triple, they go from 1 to 3. What happens in December is 1.5. And so that's how much stronger the sales are overall in the last 3 months of the year. They double from normal in October, they triple in November, and there's still some November left, and then it's a 1.5 multiple in December. Sales sort of peter out as you get a little bit closer to Christmas because it's harder to ship things and get them there by Christmas, and then, people will go on their holidays and everything else. So, yeah, that's what I would say. It's a really important time of year. But on that note, let's open it up to Q&A. Let's talk about how that works. You can see at the bottom of your Zoom window, there's this little reactions face, and he's got a little plus mark on it. If you click that guy, there's a raise hand button, and that lets me know you have a question. That'll let me unmute you and bring you on, and you can ask any question you like about just about anything. If you want to turn your camera on, great. If you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on. I hate being on video. If you want to throw your questions in the chat, you can do that. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, we can get to those questions as well. Love to get into anything and everything. Love to give you some advice how you are going to get a sale in the water as soon as possible ahead of Christmas and not let another Q4 pass you by. But really, everything's fair game. We can get into everything. And then I have one announcement to make, which I will do in a second. But Glenn, kick us off. You're up first. You can go ahead and mute. I'll let you know when you get it. Mic icon, bottom left-hand corner. Gotcha.
Yes. My question is concerning website copyrights.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, is your artwork protected somehow on the website by the website itself, or should you go outside and also copyright your individual art pieces?
Okay.
That's my question.
Yep. I've got a great answer for you on this one, but I want to ask you a few questions first. Why is this important?
It's important because I've always learned that, or I was always taught that you have to protect your artwork, or somebody else can reproduce it,
Who who
make a
who
profit off of it.
who taught you that, Glenn?
Uh, Several, all my life, I guess anybody who was conscious of things being stolen from the creator.
Right. So,
I can't put my finger on any particular type of person or type of source,
mm-hmm.
but I'm sure most artists have heard that.
Yeah. So we'll collectively say they told you that, right?
Mhm.
Do you think in the grand scheme of things that's the most significant problem you're facing in your business right now?
No, it's not the biggest problem. It's just something that I got reminded of because I'm in the process of building my website.
Mm-hmm.
And it became a bigger concern when I published. It's like now it's out there, and I'm just questioning whether it has the necessary protections that it needs to have.
Okay. And I want to answer your question, and I don't want it to seem like I'm playing with you, but this is one of the ones that infuriate me. One of the so I asked you who told you this, right? And it's always they. They always told you this.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that infuriates me about this is that this business is really, really hard to make it. Okay, it's a very difficult business to make it as an artist. There's a whole lot of people that want to be artists, that want to have full time jobs as artists and photographers, and there are very few that actually do. And it's bullshit like this is the reason, because people tell you that there are people running around out there stealing artwork, making millions, buying islands, and flying around on jets. Biggest bunch of bullshit anyone's ever talked about in my entire life. Anything that is put online in an image format from any website can be stolen in 2 seconds. You don't need, there's no protection that any website can do. There's no protection that anyone can offer, and it doesn't matter. It's unnecessary completely because there is no one running around stealing work, reproducing it, building a big brand, and making millions and millions of dollars. In order of problems that you have in your business right now, this one doesn't make the top 1,000 list, Glenn. It doesn't make the top 1,000 list. Now, I say all that to say because I want you to win. You have to waste not a fraction of 1 second stressing about this, right? There's if your business is a boat, this is like the tiny little bit of bird poop that's up on an upper railing. Meanwhile, there is a giant hole in the bottom of the boat. So you don't need to worry about it in the slightest. I'm trying to be dramatic to take this worry completely off your mind. Does our website protect against easy downloads? But yes, anyone that is even remotely technologically savvy can get any image off the internet in 2 seconds. It's really difficult to reproduce them and blow them up, but again, it's completely irrelevant. It's not an issue in the slightest. Um, I have heard so many people bring this story up, and I really want to find out and get to the source of who came up with this myth originally, because it just doesn't happen. And the 2 or 3 times that it has, it's like everyone's read that story massively. But you can, that's what the law is for. You can sue. So trust me, it's not a problem. You don't need to worry about that one at all.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I really needed to know that.
I know there's so many myths running around in this business, and it's like, you know, I bring all that up because I literally do not want you to waste a single solitary second of your brain power, your important brain power, stressing about that one, right? You have a marketing problem. That is the number one thing to solve. Once you start working on that and solving that, the business will actually grow. At no point in time, to be honest with you, I have not heard even once. We're up to like 5,700 customers. I have not heard one single instance of theft or illegal downloading and that ending up on like other websites or other places from a single solitary one of our customers. So it's just not something that happens in the real world.
Patrick, I appreciate you.
I love you too, Glenn. I want you to win.
All right.
And I think you should check out our websites before you build your websites. But answer the more important question for me: How have you gone? How have you gone about selling your art up till now?
Repeat that again. I'm sorry.
How have you gone about selling your art up till now?
I really haven't put a lot of energy into it
Mm-hmm.
only because I have gotten over the years. I've started painting when I was like about 9 years old.
Okay. Wow.
And first of all, being black, there's a certain type of market that has always been elusive, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
And I've been discouraged most of my life. I think as an artist, I'm a very good artist. It's just that the material and maybe my buyer demographics have always seemed to be just a little bit out of reach. And I've been reluctant because of that. But now I'm in my 70s. I've got about 40, almost 50 paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding that I have to, I mean, my soul is going towards a bigger market. I guess I spent too much time contemplating towards a certain demographics. But now I'm trying to open up a little bit because I've seen a lot more and I can appreciate a lot more art. Um,
I think you spent too much time in contemplation. I think you need to get some of those works together that you have. I think you immediately need to go to a local fair or show, get into the booth, set them all up, see how you do.
okay, that's good advice. I'm going to take you up on that. And just one more thing.
If you do it in the next month, I'll put 150 cash towards your booth fee.
Okay, what if I do it through a video?
Video you could do, but I would prefer you do it in person because when you talk about doing it through video, the video really is only really applicable. The video has a much higher leverage based on the size of an audience you already have, right? So if
Right.
you have a large email following, or if you have a large following on Instagram or Facebook, I'm assuming you don't have that. And so we tend to try to do these things digitally when actually going into the real world is the best, easiest way to do it. But you have my email address. My offer stands. If you do a local fair or show, I will PayPal you, Venmo you, send you a check, $150. No more thinking. Get the art, get it into a booth, pay the booth fee, set it up. It can be a table, a tablecloth, and tilt a couple of your pieces up and see what happens. See if it sells. Don't worry about what niche or audience or this or that. If you feel like your art's for the black community, then find one that dovetails with that if possible. But it doesn't even need to be. It could be a local farmers market. It could be the swap meet. It could be an art fair, art show. There's a list of them everywhere. But I challenge you to do it next month.
Okay, I can appreciate that. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you, Glenn. I appreciate it. All right, Shannon, you had a question. I can't. Your question's a little bit. You had your hand up and then you put it down. I don't know if you want to ask this in person or not. I started with trying to make my photographs as wearable art. I also want to venture into putting my photos on a canvas. Wondering if I can transition into home decor within the site. Do I have that right, Shannon? And I unmuted you. I know you had your hand up. I'm not sure I totally understand this question. Yes, I mean you can do any
Yes.
and all of the above. Um,
Oh, okay. Stop, Eli.
yeah, it sounds like you have a bunch of interesting ideas for the business, but you haven't gone about attempting to market them or sell them yet. So they're a bunch of what ifs. They're questions that you don't know the answer to yet because you haven't tried yet. Right? Does that sound correct? Correct. Okay. Yeah. I see. I think you're with like kids or something. Yeah, you're overthinking it, which is kind of was my earlier point too, right? Like artists do this all the time. They contemplate all the what ifs, the what ifs, the what ifs, the what ifs, the what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that, right? And then they don't ever take action. You got to take action. I think what I would do in your case is I would take your photographs. I would get some samples made. You don't need to spend more than $150 getting samples made. Get take 5 to 7 images, get them made, and start showing them off and seeing if you could sell them. Once you've sold the art, then you're on the path to know, okay, there is a demand for what I have, and then I can start marketing and working on my marketing consistently. But worrying about, am I going to put it on wearable art, or can I transition into home decor? Those are all questions for later. For early on, you gotta just get going, attempting to sell it, right? You have to figure out, is it going to sell? That's the biggest 2 cents. All right, David's asking how the program works. You want the whole top to bottom, David, or do you have specific questions about it? David Wong, I'm gonna mute you. Yeah, there you go. Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry, I joined late,
Mhm.
so if you can just give me a quick synopsis of it. I've been selling for about 10 years. I've been a member of a local co-op gallery
Awesome.
for that time. I've actually sold a, a bit of art there. It's usually not a huge amount,
Mhm.
maybe a couple hundred a month or something like that. I've sold at local art shows and that I've been a member of for a few years. And I'm just looking at your program.
Mhm.
I'm no longer in the gallery because I decided that my time spent at the co-op gallery is considerable.
Mhm.
I'm a photography teacher. I'm a curator at a photography gallery in Sacramento, California,
Mhm.
and I teach overseas when we were doing it overseas twice a year.
Mhm.
Excuse me. Hang on a second.
I love it. David's house sounds like my house.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, I
Sorry
was
about that.
just laughing because your house sounds like my house. I mean, I've got kids throwing things out there. I can't even get to tell you.
Yeah. So, at any rate, I have a 1,000 foot studio,
Mhm.
and I do things like open studios and sell a bit at that, and
Cool.
so that's kind of my background.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
so,
So yeah, I can
yeah,
sort of get into the problem. I mean, we're twofold, right? Like, yes, we provide you with the website. Yes, it's the most advanced art selling website on the platform on the planet, but you don't have a website problem. No one on this call has a website problem. You guys all have marketing problems, right? If you want sales to continue to grow, you want the business to grow, you want it to grow year over year, you have to solve the marketing problem, right? You have to figure out a way to get your photography in front of more eyeballs. And so we're part website company, and we're part postgraduate university that teaches art and photography, business and marketing. And so we have a number of ways of doing that. We give you a calendar that tells you what to do 365 days a year. We have an exhaustive digital education library that's constantly getting updated on all the various latest, greatest marketing techniques and tactics for selling art and photography. We have bi-weekly, sometimes tri-weekly Zoom classes. Feels a lot like college, where myself, members of my team, are teaching you how to market. We're doing Q&A. The same for live support. We support our application. We support Facebook. We support Instagram. We support MailChimp. And we essentially just teach you to market all year long. So I would say, as you look at the next arc of your business, if you're willing to devote yourself to marketing your photography and building your following and building your email list, then we could help you significantly. I think the fact that you've already had the sales that you have means you've already validated that you have a product the market wants. So in many ways, it's much easier for you, but you still have to do the marketing work, right?
yeah.
That's still a critically important component of the business. One thing I'll say, David, if you have the time today, is in an hour and 15 minutes, we're running, just because it's almost the end of the month, and I think we're having some sort of crazy Cyber Monday sale. We're running, we use the demo process. The demo process is basically like an hour Zoom call one-on-one that you get with somebody on my outreach team, and they walk you through all the bells and whistles, and it's a screen share that shows everything in the ins and outs of all the software, the whole program. Normally, we set those up via phone calls and everything else, but because it's the end of the month, in an hour and 15 minutes, there's going to be a Zoom session. It's going to be a group one. You can still answer whatever questions you want. But you should go check that out, because it'll let you see all the features in depth, all the back end stuff, all the marketing stuff, all the education, all the everything. And there'll be a link here in the chat, and it's a free Zoom. You can jump in there. They'll give you all the details. They'll tell you pricing and all the this and the that. But the fact that you have, what's your social media following like? Just out of curiosity, have you cultivated that?
No, not very well. I'm the biggest problem when you do things hit and miss, and you don't do things on a regular, consistent basis.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's what you get.
that is exactly what
And
you get.
I get people that buy things from me all the time, just because I have a decent following of a few hundred people here, that have known me
Mm-hmm.
for 10 years, and I do on a lot in the local photography market, just for my instruction and teaching and workshops and things like that. So, I've been successful. People like what I do very much. I don't. It's not an issue of whether they like what I do or not. It's just an issue of me being consistent and having presence somewhere.
You better believe it. No one understands the power of consistency. You know,
Yes.
one of the most common questions I get all the time, and I'm not knocking anybody for the question. Until I learned lessons the hard way, I would have asked the question too. But 80% of our customers have full-time jobs. 20% are
Mhm.
full-time artists, or in many cases, there's a large, you know this because you're in photography, but we have a ton of they teach photography classes, or they take people into the national parks and teach nighttime photography, or they do weddings, or they do AYSO pictures, portraits, or Christmas cards, right? Um, Everyone always asks, because they have full-time jobs, how many hours a week do I have to devote to the marketing, right? And the idea being, if I just know what that number is and I can commit to that number, I'll win. And the answer I always give surprises people, because it has almost nothing to do with the amount of hours that you give me. It has to do with giving me the amount of hours you can, 52 weeks a year. Give me the amount of hours you have, 52 weeks a year. No one understands that you can move mountains with the consistency. You can move mountains with the consistency. But the problem is that all artists, all photographers left in a vacuum on their own, all fall into this dangerous cycle where they get fired up. It's kind of like when you sign up for a gym membership at the beginning of the year, think figuratively, like, this is going to be my year. I'm going to hit that gym membership so hard. You're going 4 days a week in January, and then it starts getting cold in February, and then you're down to 3 days a week or 2 days a week. And then by the time March comes, you're going once a month, and you're like, I'll give it up all the way until next year. That same cycle happens again and again and again with artists and photographers. They start marketing a little bit, and they don't get the results that they're after right away, and they're like, this doesn't work, and they give up. And it's like, if you just fire through that quitting point and you get all the way into the end of the year where you've done it consistently all year, your business actually starts growing. You start getting some momentum. The emotional gas tank, which is such a critical component of being successful in this business, gets filled up with these various different wins you get. So I love that you're saying that, and I love that you've recognized that, because I'm telling you, it is one of the single most important indicators of success, is getting people to just stick at it consistently. In fact, I would go as far to say 50% of what we do is we teach you to market. The other 50% is varieties of carrot and stick and everything else in between. Emotional support, peer pressure, bribery, poking and prodding, whatever it takes to just get people going and get people going and get people going, right?
Yes.
We have this we have this Slack channel. I don't know if you know what Slack is. It's our little internal communication